Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show and a special weekend edition. I'm taping this on Friday afternoon. I've been with my kids and Doug all week on spring break. Came back on Friday and did an hour live with the audience on SiriusXM, Triumph Channel 111, on our special series on baby Lisa, a case we will continue to follow. But it's been such a busy news week that I'm here with this special episode just to break down some of the stories that were driving me insane this week. And then we're going to start with the new show on Monday with Glenn Greenwald. At that point, I will still be on spring break, but not on vacation. I will be moving locations, but I will not be on vacation. But I just needed to get to a couple of these stories, which are not evergreen, and I needed to talk to you about them before they got old and before Glenn gets here, some of which he'll have no interest in, some of which he will. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. These days, personal safety is not something that can be left to chance. Whether at home, on the road, or just living everyday life, having a reliable way to protect yourself and your family is crucial. That's why Byrna is the choice for so many. Byrna is a game-changing, less lethal self-defense tool. Compact, powerful, and easy to use, it provides the confidence to act in any situation. Byrna uses non-lethal rounds, tear gas, pepper, and kinetic projectiles to effectively stop a threat from a safe distance. And the best part? Byrna can be shipped direct to your door, and it's legal in all 50 states. Byrna is proudly American, with products hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And look, sometimes a firearm is not the right choice for you, and Byrna provides a powerful alternative. Protect what matters most with Byrna. Visit Byrna.com, that's Byrna.com/Megyn to receive a 10% discount and learn why thousands of people and law enforcement agencies are trying out Byrna's less lethal protection. Byrna, non-lethal self-defense, always ready. All right, we're going to get to all of it, so let me just dig right in. Number one, and I'm sure Glenn and I are going to be discussing this, the left is melting down over the Trump administration's attempt to deport this leader of this shockingly anti-Semitic group on the campus of Columbia University. And his name is Mahmoud Khalil, Khalil. He has been arrested. He has had his student visa withdrawn, and he has had his green card withdrawn. And the left has made him into Rosa Parks, that he is a civil rights figure of our time, that he was simply exercising his right to free speech, and that this is an unfair and disgusting crackdown on it. And it's not just the left. It's some people. I mean, Glenn is of the left, but, you know, obviously makes a ton of sense, and we love Glenn, and he's a lawyer and he's smart. I would say he's much more antagonistic to Israel than most of the people on the right are. And that's fine, totally fine. But he is definitely defensive of Khalil here, saying that this is unconstitutional, what the government's doing to him. It's a crackdown on free speech. And he's not the only one. Our friends over at FIRE, which is big on campus free speech, they are against what the Trump administration is doing to Khalil. Ricky Schlott, who interned for our show, writes for the New York Post now and also co-wrote a book with the guy who runs FIRE. She's been posting against it. There are some folks on the right who have free speech concerns about what's happening here. So it's not just a leftist issue. But having taken a few days to look at the law, I have zero qualms about this guy getting his ass booted back to Syria. Goodbye, Khalil. Enjoy Syria or wherever you wind up. I really don't give a shit where it is. He got a golden ticket into the United States of America. We gave him a student visa. He got into one of our most prestigious universities. We let him study alongside American kids who were the next generation of leadership. And what did he do? He decided to join up with this group that is, without a question, pro-Hamas, that was allegedly distributing pro-Hamas pamphlets, leaflets, promotional materials. He was extremely defensive of what had been done by Hamas on 10/7. And he recognized that even though he was here on a temporary status, yes, we give him a green card, but that you're not a citizen yet, that he should be in a more of a supportive role for this organization that was organizing the hell on Columbia's campus. But he still took part. He couldn't quite keep it together long enough to get citizenship. It was that important to him. And so by his own admission, he was a spokesperson for the group that was on Columbia's campus last year, causing all the havoc. Were they there to protest all the dead babies in Israel? No, they weren't. They actually looked at that as an acceptable form of armed resistance. We heard that from Khalil's own mouth, at least according to a fellow student at Columbia who posted a video of him speaking for the group whose spokesman he was, justifying armed resistance against Israel. This is, again, post 10/7. Columbia student David Lederer posted this on X on March 11th. It's a little hard to hear, but try to listen here in SOT 14A.
As you've seen, like, Palestinians have tried multiple forms of resistance, whether it is armed, unarmed resistance, peaceful, whatever. But Israel and their propaganda always find like something to attack. Like we tried armed resistance, which is again legitimate under international law, but again Israel it is terrorism. We've tried.
Okay, so what you heard there is Palestinians have tried multiple forms of resistance, whether it's armed, unarmed resistance, peaceful, whatever, but Israel and their propaganda always find something to attack. We tried armed resistance, which is, again, legitimate under international law, but again, Israel, it is terrorism. So that's, okay, that's a point of view. We don't have to actually support him in that point of view because what he's really doing there is endorsing Hamas and its terror tactics, and endorsing a terrorist group now gets you onto even shakier ground. Okay, but we're still in speech, so he's still on firmer, terra firma versus what actually is going to get him deported. I'm just giving you background on who this guy is. So then he goes and he decides to be the spokesperson for the group that took over Hamilton Hall, that had campus encampments, that made it difficult for Jewish students to pass from A to B on the campus of Columbia, that made it impossible for anyone, Jewish students, professors, cops, to enter Hamilton Hall, a facility for which all students pay, including the Jews. But they weren't wanted because this group took over Hamilton Hall, acted like a bunch of thugs, put barricades up against the doors, smashed windows with their keffiyehs on, and effectively held hostage for a time a couple of security guards who were in the building, including, guys, maintenance workers who weren't making a lot of dough, who felt personally threatened. But here's some video, just in case you have forgotten, about what his darling little student group that he's the spokesman for, he was the negotiator for, did at Columbia last year. The caption reads, "From our side of the barricades." And sure enough, it's all these keffiyeh-wearing Columbia students screaming and leaning, full body leaning against the doors, large wooden doors, and there are several sets of them, into Hamilton Hall. Free, free Palestine, as they chant. They've got ladders that they're using to barricade the doors. Stun grenades now are going off. It's bedlam. Cops are trying to get in. Let us not dialogue with our persecutors. They're called police officers, and when they tell you to sit your ass down, you do it. Or you get arrested, or possibly deported. Khalil. Now, he was smart enough not to actually go, as far as we know, to that particular event because he was trying to become one of us. He was trying to become a U.S. citizen. It's a no, okay? It's a no, sir. Enjoy Syria. Zero chance he's becoming an American citizen now. But he wants to hold on to that green card and he wants to stay here in the United States. And he says, I'm married to an American and I'm expecting an American baby. Should have thought of that before last year. Bye. Get out. Who the hell feels sorry for this guy? He'll do fine in Syria. His ideology seems to parallel perfectly what he will find over there. You'll love it. Sharia law, you can find it in lots of places in the Middle East. Take your pick, but not here in America. Bye. So what did he do? He acted as the liaison between this lawless student group and the university, and continued to go into, this is our understanding as of this date. There hasn't been a full recitation of it, but I've spent the weekend pouring through the reports and what we do know about him. And it appears, there's no question he was the spokesperson for this group that was behind the encampments and behind the taking of Hamilton Hall. And he was in there with the administrators, apparently on a daily basis, saying, basically, you give us what we want, which is to divest Columbia from all of Israel, or you get more Hamilton Halls. Do you understand? And Andy McCarthy of National Review has had a couple of great pieces of this on this, one on Fox News, one on NR. And he likened this to the guy, Robert Duvall character in The Godfather, Tom Hogan, who went over to see the movie producer who wouldn't cast the Frank Sinatra-like character in that movie, in his movie. And, just kind of like, it'd be great if you'd cast him. Love it if you'd cast him. Yeah, I'm not muscle. I'm just the lawyer, but geez, we really appreciate it if you cast him in this role. And the Hollywood guy's like, no, F off. Nobody tells me how to cast my movies. And then he got a head horse in his bed. His favorite racing horse wound up with its bloody head in his bed in one of the most infamous or famous scenes from that movie, most memorable for sure. And it's as if you have that guy saying, what? It was speech. All I said is, I'm not here to threaten you, but, we'd really appreciate it if you put him in. It's a threat. You're acting as the muscle. You really are the implicit muscle for a terror group, a lawless group, and a terror group, frankly, on Columbia campus. This guy was in there saying, you divest from Israel or you get the hose again. You get it? That's how this is going to go down. He was the guy doing that. And even the Columbia administrators, the farthest left people you could probably find in America, kept saying, no, we're not going to do that, Khalil. No, your requests are a little bit much, even for us. And the student group would not disband. And that is why the NYPD had to break down the doors with stun grenades. None of that shit is lawful. They were guilty of trespassing, of resisting arrest, of destruction of property. There may have been assaults there. There have been plenty of criminal charges that have been unleashed on some 40 plus people who participated in what we saw there on camera and the related events. Now, Khalil may or may not have been one of them. I don't know. I know he has joined a motion to stop the university from releasing what it knows about Khalil to the federal government, which is trying to find out right now. He and some handful of others have just filed a motion trying to stop the university from revealing the full extent of what they know about Khalil. Good luck with that. Okay? If you didn't do anything that's problematic, it was just speech. It was just your little speeches, your thoughts. Why would you want to stop it from going to the feds? You should actually be thrilled to see that go. You should be like, it's speech. Hello, I'm practically an American. I've got my green card. All I did was speak words, pro-Hamas words, but they were words. No, there's a reason he doesn't want that stuff released. And by the way, there is a question. Even if it's just words, there is a question about whether he could be deported, notwithstanding the fact that he's got a green card. Go listen to Andy McCarthy and his podcast on NR. It's well worth your time. And he talks about how this is what jihadists do and have been planning to do in America for a very long time. They try to get into the country. They try to take advantage of our laws and our Constitution, which is very permissive when it comes to the expression of ideas and the freedom of assembly. And then they try to martyr themselves and bit by bit change the law just to make it a bit more flexible, a little bit better for their side. And so there is a real reason for the Secretary of State to be able to say, I consider that person, not yet a citizen, a threat to the foreign policy of the United States of America. How so? Because we don't wish to send the message to other countries that they can send their jihad lovers over here to congregate on American campuses and try to convert our youngsters, who are impressionable young teenagers for at least the first half of college, into joining the jihad. Totally valid POV. And there's no question the Secretary of State has the power to do that. Okay, that's just speech. That's how the law is to me. Pretty clear. It doesn't, if what you're just speaking about is jihad or support of terror yeah, you're in trouble if you're not an actual citizen. Not if you're an American citizen, not necessarily. But if you're somebody who's less than a citizen asking us to continue the privilege of you staying here, you're in trouble, my friend. And your conduct is where I really want this to land. This guy did more than just speak. He acted like the Robert Duvall character. Nice university here. Shame if anything were to happen to it. All you have to do is divest from Israel. You can have your campus back. We'll let the Jews pass. We'll let the cops come in. We're being perfectly, I'll say it in my soft voice, the one that Khalil uses when he talks on camera, when he presumably was dealing with administrators. Yeah, I would hate for more maintenance workers to get hurt. I would hate for more cops to have to endanger their young lives. I really would hate for more property that the Jews have paid for to get destroyed here on this pretty little campus of yours, administrators. Fuck you, Mahmoud. Get out. All right, so that's it. Glenn Greenwald's coming on Monday. He and I, I'm sure, will have a robust debate about this because he's definitely on the other side, and I love Glenn, so he's just the man to do it with. So that's exciting. We'll do that. Okay, a couple of other things that I definitely want to get to. Elissa Slotkin. She went on The View. She's a new senator from Michigan. And I never heard of this person. You probably haven't either. But she's trying to make a name for herself because she's the newly elected senator from the state of Michigan. And she was on the same ballot that elected Trump because Michigan went for Trump. And she also got elected. So she's like, I'm the moderate. I'm the future. You guys are going to love me because you same people who put Trump in office and my friends in Michigan, and I do have a lot of them. Would you please listen to me, Michiganders? You elected an idiot. She's a nasty person. She is a nasty, nasty, hard partisan. And I realize you thought, okay, I'll put Trump in there and then I'll put this kind of moderate Democrat in. But no, she's not. She's just as hard partisan as the rest of them. This is no moderate. So she goes on The View this past week and decides to try to explain Trump and Trump voters, because she's from Michigan. She was on the same ballot. So she gets Trump. She gets MAGA. And here she was, I guess all of our spokesperson explaining all of us to The View. Listen.
I think there's a feeling in the country. Yeah. I mean, I often say this, we're about to turn 250 years old, right? We're still pretty young for a country. These are our like our angry teenage years, right? We are going through this push and pull where we're happy, we're sad, we want this, we want that. And what do you do when you have a teenager who's threatening themselves and others? You just try to get them through this period alive so that their brain can fully form and you can come back to kind of what
Are
a
you
country.
talking about Trump?
No, I'm talking about our country. We're pendulum swinging. We're pendulum swinging. And so for me, I think I don't think there's a single American who feels like this is normal.
Okay. Well, she's not talking about Trump, but this is not normal. Everything Trump's doing is abnormal. And it's because we're in our teenage years where our brain is not fully formed. So we're just suffering a temporary form of neurosis, of delusion, of insanity. That's our problem. We're just these mature idiots whose brains have not yet matured. But trust us, Elise, somehow she's got the magic that we don't have. Like, she's the mature one. She sees more than we do. She knows better. She knows better, okay? Like, we're the dumb kids who need to be controlled. We just have to, she's the patient parent. She's our daddy. I told you she was bad. Do you remember? She was the one who decided to try to strangle Pete Hegseth during his confirmation hearing. And unlike all the other women, she did not appear in those highlight rolls of like Mazie Hirono and Kirsten Gillibrand, the ones who were pummeling Pete and were like, ah! She did not. Because she doesn't sound like that. She doesn't sound like that. Ah! But she is just as annoying, probably more dangerous, and just as partisan. That's the thing I really want you to know, Michiganders. You did not elect a moderate. And anybody thinking about this person as any sort of a moderate needs to reassess ASAP. So for a couple of weeks or months now, I've been asking my team to put together these sound bites of that cross-examination she did of Pete. And they've done a great job, but they never got like all the pieces that I wanted. So I actually went back myself and all my free time this week, which I did have a lot of. It's only a 7-minute exchange. And I picked my favorites. I personally put this one together. It's a little disjointed, but you're going to get the feeling of why I dislike this person so much. And now this, I have my soundbite. We don't go over a minute unless it's like extraordinary. This one's 3 minutes. Trust me, you're going to get why I did it. Watch it.
I'm a CIA officer recruited after 9/11. I did 3 tours armed in Iraq alongside the military, and have worked for 4 different secretaries of defense, both Democrat and Republican, proudly. I'm also a Democrat representing a state that Trump won, right? We both won on the same ballot. Do you agree that there are some orders that can be given by the commander-in-chief that would violate the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, thank you for your service. But I reject the premise that President Trump is going to be giving illegal orders.
No, I'm not saying he will, but do you believe there is such a thing as an illegal order that Joe Biden or any other president, Donald Trump, could give? Is there anything that a commander-in-chief could ask you to do with the uniformed military that would be in violation of the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, anybody of any party could give an order that is against the Constitution or against the law.
So are you saying that you would stand in the breach and push back if you were given an illegal order?
I start by saying I reject the premise that President Trump will be giving
you've done your
any
genuflecting
illegal
to him,
orders
but
at all.
This isn't a hypothetical, okay? Your predecessor in a Trump administration, Secretary Esper, was asked and did use uniformed military to clear unarmed protesters. He was given the order to potentially shoot at them. He later apologized publicly for those actions. Was he right or wrong to apologize?
Senator, I was there on the ground.
I understand, and I respect that. Was he right or wrong to apologize?
I'm not going to put words in the mouth of Secretary Esper or anybody else.
He said them himself. You don't have to. What are you scared of? Did he do the right thing by apologizing?
I'm not scared of anything, Senator.
Then say yes or no. You can say no. Have you been personally involved in discussions of using the U.S. military active duty inside the United States?
Senator, I'm glad we finally got to the topic of border security equaling national security, because it's been abdicated and ignored for the last 4 years.
That wasn't my question. And you're going to be in charge of 3 million people. The active duty that I know you care about, I believe you care about. So have you been in conversations about using the active duty in any way, whether it's setting up in detention camps, policing dangerous cities? Have you been involved in any of those conversations?
Certainly, I have been involved in conversations relating to doing things this administration has not, which is secure the southern border and not allow floods of illegals to enter our country through an invasion that threatens the American people.
Do you support the use of active duty military in supporting detention camps?
Senator, everything we will do would be lawful and under the Constitution, but I recognize that this administration has abdicated its responsibility. President Trump is going to restore order at the border, prevent our enemies from invading, and yes, he has said
Sir, I get your filibustering. I get it.
Part of what happens.
In the spirit of preserving the institution that I think we both care about, legitimately, the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Thanks.
I've heard a couple of different things. One, you said you will not change the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is what governs justice system in the military. Yes or no? You said that earlier.
Those are laws, Senator, set by Congress.
Okay, so you will not go to change it. You will not attempt to change it.
It's just so irritating. It makes my blood boil. I get that. Okay, you've done your genuflecting. You've done your genuflecting. What are you scared of? Then say yes or no. I believe you care about them. I believe you. I think we both care about them. We both care about the military. Sir, I get it. You're filibustering. Everything's so pejorative, so condescending. You're genuflecting. You're filibustering. What are you scared of, you P word? But I totally have the same respect for the military as you do. I'm basically the same as you have. As you are. I went as a CIA analyst to Iraq to help with intelligence. And that's basically the same as strapping a gun on my back and going and actually having to shoot bad guys. So I'm one of you. I get it. I, Elissa Slotkin, will acknowledge that you might actually care about the military. I have decided you might be sincere in that. F you, Senator. She's truly she's, I guess, a wolf in sheep's clothing. A partisan in nonpartisan's clothing. I'm not sure exactly how I want to say it other than don't trust her. Don't buy her little moderation act. And understand what you've elected. Because I think Michiganders genuinely believe that this would be somebody who possibly could work with Trump, who wouldn't have TDS, who could go to Washington and represent the people who don't hate him, who actually voted for him for president, but aren't necessarily Republicans or diehard MAGA, right? You made a mistake there, my friends. You had a great Republican candidate. You rejected him. That's fine. You could rectify it the next time around. And I really, really, really hope you do. You have the possibility of doing that now. And I really, really, really hope you make a better choice, because this woman is nasty. She's a nasty person. The way she spoke to him about his military service, like, I will deign to tell you that your love for the military is real. I believe you. Who gives a shit whether you believe Pete Hegseth cares about the troops? Who gives a shit? How dare you say that to a man who's been deployed 3 times to Gitmo, to Iraq, to Afghanistan, and has laid his life on the line for his country? How dare you speak that way? And then get out there and talk to the rest of us like we're these know-nothing little teenagers. And that's the only reason why we voted for Trump, because our brains aren't fully developed. Long story short, Elissa Slotkin, thumbs down. Okay, got to keep going. While we're on members of Congress, Sarah, formerly Tim McBride, has been elected as a congressman out of Delaware. And this is the person who led to the whole controversy over whether we were going to be letting men posing as women use the bathrooms belonging to women on Capitol Hill. Remember, Nancy Mace petitioned the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, to say, please don't allow that. Now, in that case, it's kind of an academic exercise because all these congressmen have their own bathrooms. But it was a chance to raise a larger issue. And do you really want Sarah, formerly known as Tim McBride, walking down, in Statuary Hall and saying, I got to go. I'm going to use this public bathroom that belongs to a woman. And there's your little girl who's there on a tour with her 8th grade class and bumping into this man posing as a woman in a skirt, going to the bathroom. I don't think so. I don't want that. Get out. Go to your own space. And so Speaker Mike Johnson actually did change the policy to say you have to use the bathroom that aligns with your sex at birth. Well, Sarah, formerly known as Tim, God, there's a reason I'm struggling with the names, and I'm going to get to that. Is throwing a fit right now through the surrogates because McBride was at a House hearing and Representative Keith Self, who's a Republican from Texas, referred to Representative McBride as Mr., which is what he is. McBride is a man. He is a man in a dress. He is a man in a skirt. Doesn't make him a woman. Never will. And Representative Self referred to McBride as Mr., leading another congressman to have a meltdown, and the hearing ended over him using the word Mr. Watch.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply...
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman? Would you repeat what you just said when you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America, please?
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this
You
hearing.
will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
Good for you, Congressman Keith Self. And shame on you, Bill Keating, Democrat from Massachusetts, who used the opportunity of him speaking truth and reality to grandstand. That's what happened. Sarah McBride is a man. Sarah McBride is a man. Sarah McBride is a man. That's why he said Mr. I am sick of the pronoun nonsense, and this is in that category. This is an honorific, what you get called by. But it's the same disconnect. It's when you try to rub your belly and pat your head at the same time, and it's hard. like the left and the right, they don't really want to do the same thing. There's an incongruity happening inside your brain. And that's what was happening to Representative Self, who knew what he was looking at was a mister. Sorry, Sarah, you're not fooling anyone. Okay? You might look with the long hair to some people like a woman. As soon as we hear you speak, we know. All right? We know. It's obvious to everyone. And this is what Sarah decided to say about the issue after the fact, SOT 17.
We will not take a lecture on decorum from a party that incited an insurrection.
Does that sound like a woman to you?
I appear to live rent-free in the minds of some of my Republican colleagues. I wish that they would spend even a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, thinking about how to lower the costs for American families. I wish they would spend a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, figuring out how to make government actually work better, rather than making it work worse in order to prove that government can't work. They are obsessed with culture war issues. The Republican Party is obsessed with culture war issues. It is weird and it is bizarre.
So you have a penis and are in a dress. So you get to stop with the lectures on the culture wars. Okay, you're a man with either a wig or with women's hair. I guess maybe fake breasts. I don't know what you did in there. Don't really want to know either. But you're wearing a fucking dress and you've got a dick. I'm sorry. I just get it together, sir. You might not be in a position to lecture Republicans on the culture wars. All right? You're the one trying to pervert the culture right now. The vast majority of male to female trans people are autogynephiles. They get off. It's a perversion on dressing like a woman. It's a fetish. They get an erection by putting on women's clothing and making the rest of us participate in the delusion. So Representative Faith did the right thing. He wouldn't participate in anyone else's delusion. And he doesn't have to, and neither do you. I don't want to participate in anybody's fetish. There are guys who get off in dressing in a diaper and having women pretend that they're their little baby. It's a no. I'm not participating in that from afar or anyplace else. I don't have to see this person when he's out of the bedroom and say, oh, how's my little baby? No, I wouldn't, and I don't. And I don't have to look at Sarah, formerly Tim McBride, and say, Mr., and say Miss. See, I can't do it. The reason I'm stuttering on it is because we know what the truth is. We know the truth is Mr. We know that. And that's why when you try to say Miss or Congresswoman, you can't. You stutter just a bit. You could get it out, but you've been hearing it. There's like a second of pause because it's the head and the belly thing. I know what's real. I have mentioned this piece to you guys many times. Okay. It is called Pronouns Are Rehypnol. Pronouns Are Rehypnol. And it is, it's by somebody named Bara Kerr. This thing was like contraband on the internet for quite some time after it was initially posted. Nobody would let it be posted. They kept pulling it down. And then finally it did get posted and now it's on the internet and you can just Google it and read it yourself. Okay. So this is how Bara Kerr puts it. This is a couple of years ago. So it's a brave piece. There's a lot of chat around pronouns right now, specifically preferred pronouns, by which is usually meant the pronouns a person would prefer other people to use when they are the subject being discussed by those people. This is how I want you to talk about me. They bill it as a simple politeness, a courtesy. They go on to say, I've also heard many people declaring that anyone who won't comply, usually directed as a woman, but here it was a man, is obnoxious, mean, hostile, unpleasant. Misgendering is hate speech, they say. That is what Representative Faith was accused of. Misgendering Sarah, formerly Tim McBride. Misgendering. What he did was actually gender Tim, now Sarah, correctly. I'm not trying to be disrespectful of McBride by, quote, dead naming him. My general policy is if you change your name for whatever reason, I'll go along with your new name. I mean, fine. Lots of people do that. So I will call you Sarah if I must, but I will not call you she or her or Miss or Mrs. or Congresswoman because those are false. They're fake. That's fake news. It's not reality. If your name is now suddenly Sarah because you changed it legally, then that's your new reality, and I'm fine to go along with it. The reason I'm now saying Sarah, formerly Tim, is because I'm trying to make a point to you about why accurate pronouns are so important and why it's so hard to play the game, the delusion game they want us to. All right, I'm coming to something. Bara writes the following. Bara Kerr. One of the biggest obstacles to halting the stampede over women's rights is pronoun and preferred name courtesy. People severely underestimate the psychological impact to themselves and to others of compliance. And now they go on to talk about, forgive me, I don't know whether Bara Kerr is a man or a woman, so I don't know what the pronouns are here. But Kerr goes on to talk about how there's this test. You see all these colors I'm holding up? They're colors like blue, gray, red, blue, orange, reds, whatever. But these colors in this test are not in their proper color. Like blue in this thing is written as blue, but so is yellow. Yellow is also written in blue. Gray is written in pink. Blue appears elsewhere in yellow. Purple appears in yellow. Red appears in green. And how there is this experiment that you can take that shows how much harder it is for you to say the color of the words written in front of you when they're in the wrong color, when blue is a color other than blue, when red is a color other than red. Because your brain has an understanding. You have this conscious awareness that, and a subconscious awareness that you're fighting a conflict, that something's wrong about what you're being asked to say, and using preferred pronouns, Bara Kerr goes on, does the same. It alters your attention, your speed of processing, your automaticity. You may find it makes you anxious. You pay less heed to what you say, what you want to say, and more to what is expected of you. It slows you down. It confuses you. It makes you less reactive. That's not a good thing. Is that how we want our members of Congress? Do we want hearings in the halls of Congress with a bunch of congressmen who are slowed down, are confused, and who are less reactive to what they're hearing? We do not, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not cruel to try to avoid that unnecessary distraction and hampering of our lawmakers. That's what Mr. Faith was standing up for. Mr. Self, I keep calling him Mr. Faith, Mr. Self. That's what he was standing up for. He was standing up for reality and for the ability to function in his job in as clean and easy and effective a manner as possible. Notwithstanding the obvious delusion of the man wearing a skirt up on the dais with him. The thing about pronouns are rohypnol in this piece that really stuck out at me is it ties back to Gavin de Becker's The Gift of Fear, not explicitly, but in idea. And almost every woman I know has read that book, and if you haven't, you should. And if you're a dad or a brother, you need to buy it for your all the women in your life, okay, or a grandfather or a husband, because Gavin de Becker's a national security expert. I mean, a security expert. He has been fighting to prevent people who have been stalking victims from getting restalked, to tighten laws around this. He's been on the security teams of our biggest and most well-known celebrities and business executives, politicians, you name it. He's a true expert in security. And Gavin de Becker wrote The Gift of Fear many years ago, and it's about how women have an innate sixth sense. And it's the thing that tells you late at night when you're getting out of the parking garage and getting into the elevator, if you see a sketchy male character in there, don't go in. Don't go in. Or when you see somebody come up to you as you have your groceries and you're trying to open up your front door of your house, who says, "Oh, let me help you, let me help you." And you've got that tingling sense in the back of your neck go up. That's your gift of fear. And you say, "No, thank you." But you have this other side of you that's groomed by society. Be nice. Be courteous. Don't be unkind. Don't be a bitch. Be nice. He's trying to help you. He's doing you a solid. And they're in conflict. That gift of fear and the way women are raised girls are raised. Be nice. Be kind. Don't be mean. Don't hurt people's feelings. The guy did you a solid. He offered to carry your groceries. Let him carry them. This is doing a kindness and being neighborly. Or get in the elevator. You're going to hurt his feelings. What are you trying to say? Like, you're better than he is? You think he smells? Like, what do you mean? You're just going to feel rejected in there? Like, you think he's some sort of a pervert? Fucking get in the box. Get in the locked box with the person who's making all of your spidey senses go off. That is crazy. So that's what Gavin DeBecker writes about in The Gift of Fear, and he's spot on. We all have it, and we must listen to it, and we must not let it be dulled by fake or preferred pronouns, which ask us to reject our innate senses, our innate understanding of what is real and what isn't, in the name of kindness, politeness, courtesy, common courtesy, or decency, as you heard there. Decency. Have you no decency is what was said in that exchange, that it was indecent for him to call Sarah, formerly Tim, Mr. It was absolutely decent. It was truthful. It was honest. And here is what they say about the pronouns are like Rohypnol. They dull your defenses. They challenge your inhibitions. They're meant to. You've had a lifetime's experience learning to be alert to him and relax to her. That is true. It's not to say all men are evil or dangerous, but guys, you know what we're talking about. You know if you've sent a young girl off to college, you know exactly who you've warned her about, or off to some party in her later high school years. You're not really worried about her fellow girlfriends sexually assaulting her. They can do different kinds of damage, but not that. It's men. It's men who, in the overwhelming number of cases involving sexual assault or harm, are the perpetrators against women. For good reason. You've had this lifetime's experience. This instinctive response keeps you safe. It's not even a conscious thing. It's like your hair standing on end. Your subconscious brain is helping you not get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger that your eyes have not yet noticed. Incongruent pronouns also make your brain work much harder, not just when you're using them, but when you are receiving them as information. You are working constantly to keep that story straight in your head. Male or female? Which one again? Concentrate harder. Ignore your instincts. Ignore your reaction. Ignore. And you are still affected emotionally and instinctively by incongruent pronouns, nouns, and names, despite your efforts to be immune. You're not immune to this effect. You can know perfectly the actual sex of a male person, and yet you will still react differently if someone else calls them she instead of he. Pronouns are dangerous. That's the truth. And the piece concludes by saying, I want to be alert. I want others to be alert. I want people to see the real picture, and I want those instinctive reactions that we feel when something is wrong to be unblunted, undulled by this cheap but effective psychological trick. I feel like I owe this to myself, and I absolutely owe it to other women. And that is why I will not use preferred pronouns. Using Rohypnol on others is not a courtesy. That's so well done, and it's exactly right. And that is why it was totally appropriate and right and correct to refer to McBride as Mr. So thank you for doing that. Thank you, Keith Self. I appreciate it. And Bill Keating, you take a lesson, sir, because you not only undermined the effectiveness of your hearing, but you, in doing what you did, endangered every girl and woman on Capitol Hill, in your home state of Massachusetts, and in this country. We don't need to deny reality. We don't need to participate in McBride's delusion. It is not impolite or unkind or rude to call a man Mr. And that is a man. And the overwhelming odds are that that man is indulging in a sexual fetish up at that microphone or on that dais. And you do not want to participate in that. Okay. That's McBride. A couple of other things I need to get to before we move off into the weekend. And that, okay, I might save this one for Glenn Greenwald. I'm going I'm on the fence. There's so much goodness here, you guys. My team has pulled so many good things together that I've been texting them about all week. I'm on the fence about whether I should go for them. All right, I'll do this next one because I won't do this with Glenn. Paris Fashion Week was last week. And I remember watching some bits from Paris Fashion Week when, I was younger, especially a younger woman and cared about such things and saw the fashions. I've never been particularly a fashion queen, but I pay some attention. And this is how it used to look. I mean, the most beautiful women on earth strutting down the runway, totally freaking iconic. Here's one from the 1990s. It's the Versace show. Okay. Look at these women. Carla Bruni, Claudia Schiffer, Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Helena Christensen. They're goddesses. They're absolute goddesses. They look about 10 feet tall in their gold Versace dresses with the shimmer. I mean, just female icons, total womanhood. And it was lovely to watch, absolutely lovely. And here's another one. This is a 2016 Balmain show. Okay, stunning 7-foot tall models with, some cutouts on the dress, but still appropriate, perfectly shapely, not anorexic for what it's worth, just great looking, gorgeous, perfectly made up, legs to the moon, great jewelry, sparkly, fierce, feminine, fabulous. Love it. There's some inspo there. Whenever I saw things like that, I would think to myself, I got to try harder. In a good way, maybe I will lose that last 2 pounds. I won't have that dessert. Or maybe I will spend 5 more minutes at the makeup table just to try something new with the eyeliner. I think you feel good when you look good. God, there was some football player Doug told me about who used to say, when you look good, or when you feel good, or when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. When you play good, they pay good. Was it Deion Sanders? Anyway, I loved it. Yeah, it was Deion Sanders. Look at that. I remembered a sports reference. Anyway, there's some truth to it. We've gone a different way over in Paris, where we had a very different kind of fashion week, including this man in a red dress that he's bald. He looks to me exactly like Uncle Fester. Take a look at this thing. Oh my God. He's got to be 6.5 feet tall. He's got to be 350 pounds. He's wearing, I think, a white skull cap and white makeup on his face. Look at this. It's the same man. It's Uncle Fester. He's put on even more weight. He's gained a lot, and he's gained some inches. They're proud of the disgusting, huge, fat belly, which is also being shown in the slit dress, and absolutely no attempt, to sort of work it like a Laverne Cox might. You know what I mean? Work it as you walk the runway. No, he's walking like an Uncle Fester as well. And look at these idiots watching him in the gallery. Idiots. Somebody should have said, come on. Why didn't somebody say, boo? Come on, sit down. Because they need to socialize in these circles. They can't be kicked out of the after party. They have to be at the right place with the right drink with the right people so they can get invited to the next one. Heavens forbid. What if you were to be banned from the next event at Paris Fashion Week? Can't have it. Now there's more about this particular fashion event, and I've got to find it because it's unbelievable. Here it is. Okay. By the way, this was during International Women's Week too, so take that for what it is. Uncle Fester. The show was by Matiere Fecales. Okay, reading that from my team, which translates to fecal matter, piece of shit, which is absolutely true. So are they just trolling us? Because this is a piece of shit attempt at fashion. It's a Canadian design duo named Hannah Rose Dalton and Stephen Raj Bhaskaran. And those are the ones who chose a bald, overweight man with white makeup to walk the runway in the fashion that we just discussed. The model was, quote, gender non-conforming. He's a DJ and a performance artist who goes by Louis G. Burton. Lewis's Instagram shows that he is a man who dresses as a woman. But all of this has me wondering whether this is a real fashion pair. Why would they call their show Fecal Matter in French? Materies fecales. I took Spanish, which is literally piece of shit. I'd like to know more. If that was your goal, you nailed it. That was definitely piece of shit fashion. But I think instead it's probably just an effort to be as risque and push the envelope as possible so that you can be part of the cool kids. That's what gets you props. There was another moment in Paris Fashion Week that was right up the same alley. This one was from Dutch designer Duran Latink's Duranimal collection, where a male model who had double D, at least, prosthetic breasts walked the runway. These things are jiggling like nobody's business. Look at this. This is so freaky. This is a freak. That's what I see as a freak. Somebody you used to have to pay money to see this in a circle. For the listening audience, it's a very tall man with pants, and it appears to be no shirt, though I'm told it's one of those like Bianca Sensori tops that actually is just like mesh. You can see right through it. There was something. You couldn't have told. It was a matched skin tone top, creating the illusion he was topless. Latink, the designer of what again? What's the designer of what garment? Defended the look to women's wear daily. It's about cosplay. It's playing with bad taste. It's about form. Every season, we're trying to sort of surprise ourselves with how we can change an original piece into something that we find interesting. And we're going to do whatever the fuck we want because we're free. Great. You do that, Mr. Latink, and we will not buy any of your clothing, okay? Such as it is. There are always going to be mentally deranged people in our society, like the two people who were featured in Paris Fashion Show. And then there will be equally cynical advantage takers, like the designers behind this whole thing. The only solution for the rest of us is to say no, call out the depravity, and register how gross we find it. That's all we can do, or we're going to lose everything to these people. Already our society has devolved to the point where women are running around half naked at public events. You know, we talked about what we saw at the Oscars. Look what happens at the Grammys. You know, Bianca Sensori, I just mentioned her. People are already literally running around naked to get attention. And now it's perfectly on brand for Fashion Week, which is supposed to have like a preview of what's coming, to be naked too, but also trans and a man pretending to be a woman, a man, I guess, mocking women's breasts, which are actually a mechanism to keep infants alive and not your plaything, not your fucking accessory, you Danish freak. It's just so deeply offensive, and all the rest of us can do is continue objecting. Just be loud about it. Object. You know, say you're disgusted. Don't tune in when it's somebody whose product we can punish. But to just let it go with like a chuckle, that's not good enough. This is truly sick stuff. And it cannot define us, and it cannot continue. It really can't, whether it's some guy dressed as a woman in the U.S. Congress demanding to be called Ms. No. Some guy putting on prosthetic breasts, again, which are an organ that help children sustain life, not your toy. Or Uncle Fester putting on a red dress and trying to walk through Fashion Week as I don't even know what he was trying to do. I'm not sure, but I liked him a lot better when he was on the Addams Family. It was a great show. Was it the Addams Family or was it the Munsters? Okay. I get my monster shows from the 1970s confused. All right, so that's it for now. Those are the things I had to go off on. I have a lot more to discuss, including the Michelle Obama podcast and an amazing fact check we're going to be doing on CNN that I think you're really going to enjoy. But we'll save that for when Glenn joins us on Monday. See you then. Okay, so you're thinking about what to get that person who has everything. Or maybe you are that person that has everything and you just happen to appreciate the finer things. Well, do you want something really special? Consider hot salt. This is such a unique, fun gift. Yes, hot salt. Exquisite, savory heat. Now you're interested. So let me tell you about Firecracker Farm, a wonderful little family company that makes hot salt, a delightful spice-infused sea salt. It has the perfect amount of heat and amazing flavor that makes everything taste better. Word is getting out, and people are loving it. And that is because it's made with love. People can feel it and taste it. It's a small batch, family operation, so supplies are limited. It comes in sleek, stainless steel push grinders, really cool. Plus, you can take them anywhere. When you run out, they have refills. A little too spicy for you? Just mix it in with some regular sea salt to tame the heat, but you won't need to. It's blended to perfection. Honestly, it's the best thing to happen to food since fire. So, what are you waiting for? Go to firecracker.farm right now and use the code MK at checkout for a special discount. That's firecracker.farm, code MK. Get some hot salt before it's all gone. You're going to thank me.